All right, you guys, I just put the Zoom link that is now there. Went ahead and pinned that. Then I'm gonna send out these messages real quick, send out these mass emails. All right, you guys, I just put the Zoom link. All right, give everybody some time to go ahead and hop on the call. Today's gonna be a good one, guys. Yesterday was really good. Today's gonna be even better. Got a few minutes. Go ahead and let everybody join the chat. To get my All right, we got a few more minutes. I know it started early. Okay, we got some more people coming in. Got Stanley. Okay, here we go. Now everybody's hopping in. Claudia, Stanley, Beth, Sandra. Okay. How's everybody doing today?
Great. I have a question.
Go ahead. And is it Sandra or Lysandra?
Yes, whichever is easiest to say. Some people can't say one or the other.
All right. I can say
Lysandra. It actually in Greek mythology it's Lysander is the Greek god Lysander. So mom just kind of made it feminine. So whatever is easiest for someone to pronounce.
okay. What's your question, Lysandra?
Question. My BFF business partner wants to know if she can also have access if I purchase your program and we get in, which I'm planning on tomorrow.
Absolutely. So anybody who purchases the course, you're free to share it, with anybody. If you are teaming up with people to get the course and they want to help you out with calls, stuff like that, I encourage you to give them the course so that they can understand the business.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
I'll mute me now so I'm not bugging you guys.
Okay. All right. We got Claudia. How you doing, Claudia? We got Stanley. He is here. Okay, we got some more people joining. Let's see what we're talking about on YouTube. Oh, David. Will, CJ. David said, I had a couple cuss me out. And then the very next call, I got my first deal. Interesting call day for me. David, are you on the call? I see you on YouTube. Please join the call so we can discuss this. David Oggins, he was on the call yesterday. He said it today. Interesting call day. I had a couple cuss me out. Then the very next call, I got my first deal. Like that's literally what we were talking about yesterday. Oh, we got Will. Hey, Will, what's up?
Hey, how are you, Eric?
Pretty good. You got some new headphones?
Yeah, I think I may be keeping my family up sometimes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, too late. All right. Thank you for joining the call. We missed you yesterday.
Yeah, I caught the first half of it. It looked like a great call.
Yeah, it was a lot of motivation into it.
Yeah, really good. Good stuff.
Okay, I'm getting some questions and then we'll get into it. Somebody said, I came across a business that owns the property, but when I looked them up, the registration was done just days before the sale. Is that common or could it be fraud? That's a very good question. I think if they registered, I don't think that's necessarily fraud if they're registering with the state, establishing that corporation and they have some valid information. I don't believe that is fraud. Maybe they wanted to purchase the home in their company's name and they're a new business. So whoever the registered agent or the manager, definitely skip trace them, contact them, and then make your decision if you believe it's fraud or not. But regardless, if that is the company that owns the property and they're owed these surplus funds, you want to do some research and figure out if you can help them out. I was somebody on YouTube. Let's see, I had another question on the chat. Do you have an easier way to research mortgage overages? We need to do a one-on-one call for that. I am updating that whole section for mortgage overages in the course, but just send me an email, Lissandro, send me an email and we can do a Zoom call and I'll go over with you how you can find mortgage foreclosures. But mortgage foreclosures is less competition. Majority of people go towards tax overages. So if you can identify the leads, you're going to do pretty good. Post email here. Yeah, I'll go ahead and put my email. Okay. All right. So we'll go ahead and get started, guys. Today is day 18. This is a 30-day challenge. I'm going to keep trying to make these videos. It'll probably lead us into the next year, but it's all good. Today, I just wanted to let you guys know for the motivational nugget, all it takes is one. And I'm glad that David was able to provide that story, what happened today. He said he got cursed out and then boom, the very next call, he got his first deal. That's literally all it takes is one deal. You might strike gold on your first deal. I had a student success story. This was about 6 months ago. The gentleman, his name was Jonathan. I believe he was only 19 or 20. And on his very first deal in Broward County, he got an $80,000 surplus and he got them to agree to 30%. And all it takes is one. Like the amount of money you can make on one deal can, impact your life for the better. So, stick to the process. This business definitely works. And all it takes is one. Once you get one, you want to continue to build your pipeline, but it literally only takes one deal. You can have one deal and put forth, a few hours of work, and this can be great additional income. So definitely stay motivated and realize that it just takes one. You never know. That next call might be the one that you can get. Today, we're going to discuss the psychology of the pitch. So we're not really selling a product. We're offering our service, and there's a whole psychology behind that. Before I get into that, does anybody have any questions? Is there any issues that they're facing while doing calls or doing this business that they want to discuss?
I got a quick question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I came across a list. It's all land, but it only provides the previous owner and the parcel number. So how will I be able to find the address to those land or whatnot to be able to contact and find those people that are owed the money?
Okay, so the list that you have provides the name of the individual who's owed the surplus funds.
Yep,
And it provides the parcel number. So what you have to do is your further research. So look up that parcel number. That parcel number is a property identification number that you'll be able to look up and find the exact address. You can look this up typically on the property appraiser site or however the county, hosts their property information. They're going to have something online where you can research. That's what that parcel ID is for, so that you can go and search it up and it's tagged to that property. So you can definitely find that that address. And if you do your research and you can't find it, send an email to the county. This can be the clerk of courts, the property appraisers, somebody in the county. Give them that parcel ID and say, hello, I'm trying to find the address associated with this parcel ID. They'll be able to help you out.
Even if it's land, like this
Yeah, so
land.
land may not have a specific like numeric address, but
Yeah.
it's gonna have a legal description. It's definitely gonna have some sort of identifier associated with it.
So I could use that to find like the owner on the skip trace. Skip trace website.
Well, you just told me the list already has the previous owner.
Yeah. But like, so how will I know? Let's say the True People Search had like 10 different John Smith. Like, how do you know which one is most likely the one? Because you don't have like the previous address to look at, or like an address to put in with that name.
Well, when you're searching, you're typically looking in that city, so it's not going to be a specific address, but you can at least kind of gauge the correct city or state, and it all comes down to calling and contacting.
I think.
Okay, yeah, no problem. Morgan just said, I was just about to ask the same thing. I went to a mortgage auction. Oh, nice. Morgan, how was that? Are you on the Zoom call? No, she's just on YouTube. Okay. Has anybody on this call attended an actual live auction? No, nobody.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And how was that, Stanley?
You gotta go register for it. Some of them you gotta register, some you don't. But the one I went to, you have to put down $1,000, and then you bid on the houses. They usually have a list of all the houses that they bid, and you just gotta know which one you want to bid to. And the ones that don't get sold, they usually certain states have over-the-counter tax sale. They be at a discounted price, so or they usually just have it again on the next auction. So it just depends on each state does it different. So it just depends on the state, but they move very fast too. So they talk very fast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you gotta have the money too. If you don't have the money, within if you don't have the money, you lose your money. So
yep, exactly. Yeah, you have to put. I know in Florida you have to put like 5% down. And then if you don't pay the rest within 48 hours, you lose that. Okay, Sandra said California has eliminated all owner information on tax overages and mortgage foreclosures. They force you to pay for a data service that they have a contract with to get an extra private info. I'm able to identify a lot of information in California for free. Contact me. The counties that do charge, it's maybe like $4 for a document, something like that, but it's nothing crazy. But just we'll go over all this in the email. I can show you how I get this information directly from the county for free. CJ said, I attended a live auction today. I was actually going to ask you about that. Okay, CJ, hop on real quick and let us know how your experience was at the live auction, if you're okay with that.
Hello.
Hey, CJ, so how'd it go?
It was cool. I'm out here, and I went to Atlanta to do it. I'm on a Zoom call. I went to Gwinnett County. It was really cold out there, but they was pretty much like, I printed off the list the day before, and then when I got there, they condensed the list, I guess, because everybody paid their stuff. And when I got out there, oh, here go, my grandma just brought it to me. So this was like the list beforehand, and this is like 3 whole sheets of this. And by the time I got there this morning, it was like a third of that sheet of paper, and it was just like, I don't know, it was cool, but I was confused as far as, so like one I'm looking at right now is for 4,000. And like, let's say the overage was for 175,000. In Georgia, we have a 12-month grace period, I guess. So can you still do a payout with the grace period, if that makes sense?
It depends what type of foreclosure it is. If it's a tax lien,
it's a tax foreclosure.
Yeah, but there's 2 types. There's tax lien and tax deed. With a tax lien, when that property is foreclosed, the owner is purchasing the interest in that property, and the previous owner who lost the property to foreclosure has a certain time period that they can actually pay and get that property back. After that redemption period is up, then they no longer have rights. With the tax deed, it's, you know, pretty much over after that auction. So you would have to be able to identify what type of tax foreclosure it is. Is it tax lien, tax deed? And by the sounds of it, sounds like it's a tax lien auction. What you can do is, this is a common situation in Indiana, is also, you know, you might have to get them under contract, wait for that redemption period, you know, also talk to them. Do they have the funds to purchase that property back to
Mhm.
you know, this can be something that can help them. Maybe they, you know, don't want the property anymore. They can't afford it. So, you know, they want to wait and actually file for those surplus funds.
That makes sense. Because I mean, really, when I was there, it didn't make any sense to like I said, some people pay their stuff off and then it condensed the list. But for like pretty much all the properties outside of the land, like everything was going for like 40, 50. The most, I think one was 317,000. And it's like, it don't even make
It
sense.
was selling for higher than the opening bid.
It's what, no, it started at the opening bid, but everything else was like
It was
at
selling
least
for a
five
higher
figures.
amount, right? So it led to a surplus.
Correct.
Good, good. And you were you like checking off on the list? Okay, this one led to a
Oh yeah.
surplus. Okay.
Yeah, I got all of them. I got my paper right here, and I wrote I left the paper in my mom's car, but I pretty much wrote the final amount next to each of the
Perfect.
properties.
Yep. So sometimes, guys, also a strategy that you can use when you do attend these, you know, these live auctions, you can have business cards with you. Sometimes the property owners do attend these auctions. You can hand them out. Another strategy is, you know, like you're doing, you're checking off, you're there live. You know, then go home, do your research, contact them immediately. You can even let them know you attended the auction. You got the information, you're in the business to help people. If they have these auctions online, that's beautiful, because then you can do this remotely. But if you do want to attend an auction, there's definitely some strategies that you can use to get people under contract, because in this business, you're going to be either the first or second company contacting people. That's going to give you the upper hand to get deals done. We got some more questions.
Hey, Eric, I had a question.
Go ahead, Khalil.
All right. So last time we talked, you did, kind of tell me to go about the LLC route. So I actually just got approved today for the LLC. So I'm, moving forward as getting my EIN, and business account set up. But I did have a question because I am registered here in Texas. But let's say for whatever reason I actually wanted to move and I wanted to change locations. Is it still like, am I still able to do this business here in Texas? And let's say I move to I don't know, let's just say I move to Chicago or Montana. Can I still do this business here in Texas, even though I'm in a different state?
That's a great question. Will, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, sure. I think it's a great question. I think there are a couple of things you should keep in mind. And I think the basic answer is yes. You're free to move somewhere else. And I think this is a great feature of this business. You can do it remotely in most places. You may need to have attorneys or other agents working physically in the place, but you can make phone calls. You can do internet research from anywhere. The one thing from a legal perspective, that corporation that you started, the LLC, that can do business anywhere too. But anywhere that it does business, other than the state where it is incorporated, you want to make sure that it is registered to do business. So most states have a thing where it's called a foreign business registration. And by foreign, they just mean a different state. So if you move to Montana, and you're doing business, you're going to be in Montana doing that business. You want to have some type of registration with Montana. And mostly this is for tax purposes, that Montana has a connection with the income you'll be making and the money that's coming into Montana. They want to be able to tax it. That's what governments do. So they want you to register as a foreign business. And that's usually the type of thing. That's usually a $25 to $50 type filing. It's usually a page or two. It's a very simplified form, even compared to incorporating. And it's just, they want to get you on record that you're doing business in the state.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, that was a good question. Okay, let's send
Hi,
this.
can I ask hello everyone, can I ask a question?
Go ahead. Yeah, Pamela.
Hi, I just want to share some good news with everyone. I got a check-in. I have a check today. It was, it's not much, but it just shows that it works. What happened, I found money that was owed to me and my husband. And the first time it was just myself. So I got that in 2 weeks, but this one took 3 months.
Mhm.
But the fact, I just want people to know that it does work. And sometimes you can start on yourself. You can use yourself as your first experiment to see that it works. Our family members, if you're a little scared, start with family members and people that you know, and initially. And I just want to share that it does work, and you can start in your own backyard and work out. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing your success story. And this was for unclaimed state funds, right?
Yes.
Okay, what state?
This was for actually California.
California. Okay. So that process was pretty easy for you. You just went over there, searched up your family member.
Right. I looked for myself and I found initially like $49, and I
Yeah,
got that payment in 2 weeks. But then it was money that my husband and I both was owed, and that took 3 months.
yeah.
You have to show a little more
California's pretty
proof.
backed up.
Right. And there's my husband has relatives that are
Mhm.
owed money, but we can't, locate them. Well, they're like in Chicago, so I don't know. I'm working in California, so I don't know about that.
Okay.
But I just was so excited. I mean, it's only $18, but it's just the fact that it's work, That's all I wanted to say.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Lysandra, she said that she got her refund in California. It took 5 months. Yeah, California's pretty backed up. But regardless of the dollar amount, this business does work. All right, let's see. Somebody else had a question. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Go ahead and ask the question though. Yeah. Anise?
Anicia.
Yes.
I started an LLC for my wholesaling business, but I decided that I want to do this instead.
Mhm.
So I was just wondering, is there any way that I can use that LLC for this business? Like the name won't really make sense, and I already registered it as like a real estate company or business. I don't know if I'm going to be able to use it for surplus funds or if I'll have to make a entirely new LLC.
My advice would be, if the name doesn't align with it, just get a doing business as. That's typically inexpensive. Well, what are your thoughts on that?
That is my first thought. That I think sometimes that's also called a fictitious business registration. It's really just another name, a trade name for you to do business as, and your corporation can have really as many trade names or fictitious name registrations as you want. Sometimes you have to be careful that those DBAs or fictitious name registrations aren't just at the state level, they can be at the local level. So it's good to look into the locality and the county where you're doing business also for that type of thing. The other thing you may be able to do is amend your corporate charter. There might be a filing, an amendment to the LLC papers where you can just change the name of the company. And then you can, if you decide, sometimes you change your company's name. And I don't know, maybe I'm the only person old enough on this call to remember when Bell Atlantic became Verizon, or Comcast becoming Xfinity more recently.
Yeah.
These sometimes they're just trademarks, sometimes they're just DBAs, sometimes they change the actual company's name, and you should be able to do that in most states. I don't think you need a new LLC, but if you've limited yourself based on what you put in the incorporation documents as to what the company will be doing, you may want to amend that also. If you said that this business is going to be a wholesaling business and that's all it's going to do, you may want to file an amendment that indicates you're going to be doing something else. And here's a tip for anybody who's going to be filing their own incorporation papers. You want to make what your company is going to do as broad and general as possible. You want to typically say something along the lines of helping people claim surplus funds and all other legal business, something along those lines. So you want to leave yourself as broad a room as possible so that your business can, bob and weave and change as it needs to throughout over time.
Great, thank you. Well, somebody else had a question. They said, could Will answer if besides the LLC, state registration, and EIN, what's the other registrations that we would need to do?
Great question. I mean, I think the first thing that you should know, and it's going to be a big dividing line, if you have any employees, you're getting into a whole other ball game, a whole other set of issues and filings. Because at that point, you probably need to start dealing with workers' compensation insurance, unemployment insurance, and having payroll taxes withheld. I'm going to assume for the sake of this conversation right now that we're not talking about a company with employees. It's either just you, maybe you have some agents that you pay on a contract basis, but that's it. The main thing would be you want to look into your state and your locality's taxing organizations. It's probably a state, either Department of Treasury or Revenue, or sometimes the State Department of Corporations. Usually those are the names you'd be looking for. You just want to make sure that they're aware of your existence for tax purposes. Otherwise, they're going to think that you're trying to dodge them. So that's really where I would start if you're looking at a no employee situation.
Okay, great. Stanley had a question as well.
I have a question about working in different states. So if, let's say we get a deal and let's say we start a business in Florida and then we get a deal like in Chicago or something like that, we still need to switch the paperwork?
I don't think you do. I mean, if you're doing...
I do. When I do my business in Florida and do business in other states, I don't have to switch anything. Once you receive the check, I mean, the check is going to come in your company's name and you still cash it at your local bank.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. I was just wondering, like, man, I'm not working in a lot of states, it's still one. I was just wondering if I do want to work in other states, if I use my address when I'm using now, would it affect me in a different state?
Well, I think for the most part, if you're located in a single state and your corporation is located in that state, you're fine. I mean, your business can cross state lines, your business can do business elsewhere, but you're actually the work you're doing. I think for the most important purposes to the state, the tax purposes, you're in the state where you're living and working.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. You can ask that and I got a good question.
No, I say, cause like my business, I live in Nevada, but I do business in Florida. So I register my business in Florida. Mm-hmm. So that's how
as long as you have a valid address, I think you're straight on that.
Yeah. Okay. So I use my address here where I'm at in Nevada, but I got an address and I got a registered agent in Florida.
Is this an LLC?
Yeah.
So I would think that you're fine in Nevada. I don't even you need to consult a tax professional, but I don't even think you need to do anything in terms of taxation for Florida if you're reporting everything onto your tax return in Nevada where you live.
Okay.
Yeah, my next question, Will, was going to be, okay, my business is established in Florida. Majority of deals are in Florida. But once you receive income from California, which has state taxes, Florida doesn't. When you receive that payment, typically that could be a question for a CPA, but in the past, when I've gotten paid from those deals in California, I didn't pay the state taxes because once I received the check, I cashed it in Florida and I filed, the state, they just, they issued out the check. The county, they issued the check to my company and there was no W-9 or anything like that.
You're talking about some type of a state income tax to California?
Yeah, like if you like, it was a tax overage deal in Fresno County. The check was sent to me and my company in Florida, but I didn't receive any state taxes from California, even though the funds came from California. I cashed it in Florida, so
Yeah.
I don't know if that was legal or not, but I didn't pay any state taxes from California.
Yeah, I would think there's probably in most states, there is some minimum amount that you need to be earning or some kind of material percentage or portion of your business that you're doing in a state for it to have what's called a taxable nexus. So I think you're talking about for one deal, especially, and you're paying state taxes to Florida where it was received and where your business is located or wherever your business is incorporated, you'll pay income tax on it, but you don't need to double pay income tax on it, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Thank you. All right. Ricardo said, I got a lead. His ex-wife went to bankruptcy and he is worried that the past lien holders will come back and get his excess funds and even more from him. His excess is 30,000. That is a deal that I partnered up with you. I also got another lead, but the lead ended up doing it on their own. Maybe I gave them a lot of information before getting the agreement signed. Well, for that last part, that is a part of the business. Sometimes they might file it on their own. If they're intelligent, they'll file it on their own. And then in terms of the lien holders going after the funds because they filed the bankruptcy, what do you think about that, Will?
I think it's a legitimate concern the person has. If I'm going to be getting funds, I think it's the same answer that you've been saying in a number of occasions about the lien holders. You let them come and you see what happens. Sometimes they come, sometimes they don't. Mm-hmm. I would say sometimes they can be negotiated, but I would also say I don't understand how this person would be worried about them coming after anything else. If he's in bankruptcy protection right now, or he's been discharged from bankruptcy, or dismissed from bankruptcy, whatever the case is, he either owes somebody X amount of dollars or he doesn't. And if those funds become available, those lien holders have the lien. They have the priority of it, which is, something that they can take advantage of. But I don't know how they would be entitled to anything in addition to what he owes them. I don't understand. I understand people in that situation can be afraid of a lot of things that may not be real, but that seems like something I would reassure them. You owe them what you owe them, and they can, if they step forward, but in a lot of cases they don't. Mm-hmm. I think you mentioned, Eric, on last night's call, there was a Capital One, there was that would have extinguished almost the entire surplus. And they never showed up, so they lost it.
Exactly. Yep. And Lysandra said they have a short time to file their claim in the court. They lose it if it goes past that. Yep. Exactly. All right. So let's go ahead and get to the the whole focal point of today's call. It's the psychology behind the pitch. Before we get into that, I want to let you guys know that repetition leads to good habits. Or bad habits. It depends on what you do. But in this business, you should be practicing your calls. I don't know if you guys have a significant other or you have a family member that you can perform mock calls with, but you definitely need to be practicing. If you're not on the call, how we do here to practice, or maybe you're not emailing me to practice, you need to be practicing and getting repetition. Because the more you talk about surplus funds, the more knowledgeable you'll get and the easier it will be to communicate with somebody about this, and you won't need a script at all. So definitely get in the habit of, repetition when it comes to your mock call, and also try to practice with individuals that are even better at it. If you guys want to hop on a call with James, hop on a call with me, anybody, we can kind of critique it, help you out so that you can get better. What I want to say is, when it comes to this business, we are presenting new information to somebody. We're doing cold calls we're not only presenting new information, but we're presenting information that can seem like a scam. So there's a certain way that this has to be delivered in order for you to have a high conversion rate. Because, you know, you can't just flat out call somebody and say, hey, there's money owed to you from the county. It's $83,524. I see you're the previous owner at 1234 Main Street. It's not what you say, it's how you say it, and it's how you present it. So you have to have the right information delivered in the right order at the right time. Okay. So there's a whole method behind these calls and why the whole 4 pillars is set up the certain way it is. The intro, we are introducing ourselves. We are verifying who they are. After that, we're asking questions to kind of get them a little bit more comfortable and present that we can provide benefit, that we can help their situation. When you're doing cold calls, the way that you can present problem solving is identifying an issue. So what's the issue? The property was just foreclosed. So when we're communicating with these individuals, that should be something that we harp on. Look, I understand your property was foreclosed. Times could be tough right now, but you know, we can assist you. This is what our company does day in, day out. I know these funds could, you know, help you out. You might be in a time of need right now. These individuals who lose their properties, they could be going through tough times. You know, they could feel like they lost everything. You know, the deal that we just did with Donna Johns, she was staying in a trailer home. After she lost her property, she was staying in a trailer home. Now she's going to get enough funds to, you know, at least put a down payment on a new home, or maybe buy a bigger trailer, or maybe get into an apartment. You know, anything. This can help them out. So what we're doing is providing a service that can help them. We're not necessarily selling a product, we're providing a service. So we should be looking to solve problems. We're not selling a product, we're solving problems. We need to identify the area of need. So what's the area of need? After you lose your foreclosure, you lose your home in a foreclosure, you're probably going to need a new place. Maybe if you can't afford your taxes, money might be an issue. This can be problem solving, okay? So we have to look to solve problems, identify the issue, but then present yourself as the solution. Present your product or services as a solution. The whole business model is helping people. So you don't want to be salesy, you want to be helping, okay? The whole business, like I said, is about helping people. You're going to get paid. You're going to get money in this business. That's all good. That's all fine and dandy. But the true core of this business is reuniting people with money that they never knew about that can help their situation. Okay, so you have to be able to create that connection. The next time you guys are making calls, just think in your head, I'm making this call to help somebody. I'm not making this call because I'm about to get 30% on a $100,000 claim, and I'm about to get a huge deal, and I'm going to go on this vacation or that. Look at it as if, okay, I identified a surplus amount that's very large, or maybe it's small, but this is something that can help somebody. This is their money. This money is rightfully due to them, and I'm going to help them out. I'm going to call them. I'm going to present to them how I can help them, and I'm going to help them out. And you're going to watch how your conversations with them are going to be a lot smoother. They're going to go a lot easier because you're in this to actually help them. They can sense you if you're just trying to be pushy, if you're just, you know, presenting something to them. Hey, it's 30%. I help you follow. Let's go ahead and get this done. They can sense that. They can feel that. But if you're genuinely calling these people to help them, then I'm telling you, you guys will convert on a lot more deals, Sorry, that was long-winded. I'm getting passionate about this. Does anybody have any questions with that or any comments on that?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead.
So what's giving them too much information?
You're talking about like the individual earlier who said that he lost the deal because he gave him too much information. Well, you know, that all depends. I like to see how they say read the room. When you're on the phone with them, you can kind of see if somebody's fishing for information, possibly do it on their own. I like to be fully transparent. So when it comes to giving out information, I give it out. I just feel like I present myself in a way that is knowledgeable as an expert, and they'll trust me and they'll want to do business with me because I'm presenting that. But I have had situations where people follow on their own. That's something that you can't really avoid.
Yeah.
You can go through trying to get them under contract first, then present more information, but it's all up to you.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, any more questions?
Yep.
Go ahead, Ricardo.
Yeah, the situation with that couple, when I called them, it was 30,000, and then his wife asked me if they could file this on their own. So I was just very honest with them. I was like, yes, you can, but I did try to explain them that we have, our team and lawyers involved and stuff like that to make the claim kind of easy for them, but they still decided to do it on their own today. I did send the agreement. It was like 30%, but I lost that deal. But at least, that was not even my number, like 10 calls. So I almost got a deal within 10 calls.
So yeah. So what I would say is, when somebody doesn't do business with you and you know that you're providing value, it's going to be either one of three things. First, it's going to be you. For some odd reason, they may not like you. Second is going to be the fee that is associated with what you're doing. So in that case, it might have been 30%. They're like, well, damn, 30%, that's going to be a lot. Can I do this on my own? So if somebody asks me that now can be a trigger for everybody who's watching this right now. Maybe there's an issue here. Is it me? Is it the fee amount? Okay. Because you've presented the value, our company, we have attorneys, we can make this process a lot smooth for you. You can just sit back. We'll take care of everything. If they're saying, can I do it on my own? You want to identify and isolate the issue. Okay, well, like Will was saying, can you do your cavities on your own? Can you, anybody can change their oil on their own, but is that going to be a process that they actually want to do? And then tell them, we'll work something out. Let me talk to my manager real quick and then come back to them at 15% or, and then if that's an issue, just say, look, we'll go ahead and get it done for 10%, whatever percentage it is. Trust me, it's going to be worth your time. You're filling out some paperwork, you're setting up an order, you're sending out mail, you're not doing insane labor. And then the third one is just, they don't believe that it's true. So those are the only pretty much three issues. If you present, value and information and somebody denies you, it's going to be those three reasons why.
Eric, I don't know what you think about this, but in that situation on the fee question, I think one way is to unilaterally drop the fee if you have a pretty good read of the room that the fee is what the problem is. Maybe they've mentioned a couple of times, gee, that sounds really high, or you can't do it for any less. Maybe if that was the case, I think it might be worthwhile to just unilaterally lower the fee. Otherwise, what would you think about asking the question sort of in this way? What would it be worth to you to not have to have anything to do with this other than you're going to sign a couple of documents. I and my group and my team are going to take care of everything for you. And then you'll get that check for X. How much would that be worth for you? Because even if you, without a percentage, if you capped it, if you may be, they may say 20,000 and you were cutting it down to what amounts to 10,000, let them name their price. And if then you can decide if that is worth further negotiating, or if it's going to be more work. If they say $1, then okay, go ahead, do it. If it's really worth $1 to you, have at it, Haas. But if it's, I don't, if it's $20,000, $10,000, $5,000, depending on the size of the claim, maybe it's worth it to just let them name their price.
Yeah, that's a great strategy. I'm glad you said that. That actually reminded me, I've done a few deals where I just prepared the documents for them, everything for them for $300. So they wanted to get the claim form, they needed to get everything associated with it. And I just, packaged up everything, sent it to them. Had nothing else to do with it. I wasn't receiving the check. I wasn't following up on anything. I just provided the due diligence. I knew exactly what was needed, the proof of identification, the claim form, deed documents, put everything together in a PDF, and then emailed it to them. $300 for like 30 minutes of work. So, that's another approach as well. Ask if their schedule allow them to do the work. Okay, so Lysandra gave some good points. She was like, ask them if their schedule will allow them to do it themselves. So if they're working, maybe they're too busy. Also stress how it can be difficult if they do it on their own. Yeah, that's true. All right. Okay, does anybody have any other questions before we end today's call?
Yes, Eric, I do have one more question.
Go ahead.
So here in Texas, homeowners have up to 2 years after the sale of the home to be able to claim the surplus. Now, I know you said with the holidays coming up, is kind of going to slow down, at least with the live auctions. So especially with, Christmas being here in a couple weeks, is there any way I can kind of gauge like what deals or like what older deals would be great to go after to kind of get, people paid out a little bit shorter than having to wait that 120 days? Or is that just like a standard time period?
So the 120 days is for Florida, so that doesn't apply to Texas.
Okay.
But in regards to, talking about older claims, you can just pull up the list and see those older claims and contact them and see if anybody has assisted them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Texas, you'll need an attorney. So if you do get a deal and you want to partner, you can just email me.
Yeah, definitely. I know we were talking about that on a couple calls ago, but yeah, I'm definitely going to be emailing you about that. So looking to get something done.
Okay, awesome. All right. Claudia said, I always say my fees are generally 30% since we cover all attorney related expenses, but out of curiosity, what do you have in mind? Let me speak to my team and get back to you. Yeah, that's a great point. You can definitely utilize that as well. Figure out, like, Will was saying earlier, what value do you think that would be? How much would you pay for that service? Okay.
One more question.
Go ahead.
I contact a lawyer in Texas. I just want to know if it's a good deal, like to work with him. Basically, option one was 4,000 retainer plus any extra hours, and then option two was like 1,000 for like drafting paperwork and 300 an hour for like creating more paperwork or something related like that. And I didn't say though exactly the same way it was written in the proposal, but something like that. It's like 1,000 just for the paperwork and its research and stuff, like 300 an hour.
Now, is this going to be 1,000 in the retainer, and then you're paying $300 an hour based on contingency upon a successful claim, or how is it formatted?
What I assumed is like option two, that was not the retainer, $1,000 just to start the paperwork, and then 300 an hour for any extra work.
Yeah, but the 300 per hour, is that on contingency upon success, or is that something that you're paying him, regardless if he gets you the funds or not? Are you paying that $300 regardless?
Yeah, regardless of just
Okay.
just to start with, yeah.
Yeah, well, go ahead, Will. You want to say something?
I'm not sure if this is right, but it sounds like in that second option, they're saying $1,000 kind of flat as a minimum, and then $300 an hour for any work, for any additional hours they need to do. And it sounds like what they're saying is, we don't know how long this is going to take. And you never know how long something is going to take. I think the question you'd want to ask is, what does the $1,000 include? Is that, include specific documents and specific filings? Does it include filing fees? So, and they should be able to answer that question. What specifically does the $1,000 include? And then at that point, the $300 an hour kicks in. And I think you want to ask them, give me an estimate, even if it's a range. They may not be able to say, I think it will take 5 hours to do this, but they should be able to say, I think it will be between 5 and 10 hours or some range, just so you have an idea of what you're looking at.
Thanks.
Yeah, and then also try to find contingent attorneys first before you do that. The retainer, if you have the funds, that's great, but it's even better if you can get an attorney that's going to work with you based off of contingency.
And part of that is, as from the attorney side, you become vested in the claim when you have a contingent interest in it. You want the claim to succeed because you're getting paid based on the success of the claim. Not that fee for service and getting paid on an hourly basis, there's nothing wrong with that if you're providing good value for what you provide, but they're really become more of a partner to you when they're working on a contingent basis.
Yeah, and I'll also say this about attorneys, especially when you start picking up your volume, you might want to look about expanding your team of attorneys as well, even if it's in that state. We're working on a few deals in Florida right now, and we had to bring on another attorney because the attorney that we were using gave him like 6 deals within a month. And I do understand, you have to do your proper research as an attorney, make sure everything is right, do your due diligence, but it took like 3-4 weeks to get all the paperwork together for one of the, just one probate situation. And we have 6 of them. So, it can be a lengthy process. But that's just because, it's a legal claim, and not everybody, not every attorney is necessarily going to be motivated to get it done within 1 to 2 weeks. It might take long. The deal I'm doing in El Paso, it's been 3 months. So, everything, can take a while with these legal claims. So if you do have an attorney that's, just treading the water, taking too long, think about expanding your team.
Absolutely. I would say there's absolutely nothing wrong with having, multiple attorneys and coming from different firms. And the one thing that I'd say in response to that very specifically, you need to let attorneys know what your timing requirements are. And that's often a first, or it's a second question I ask after, what's your objective, but what are your timing requirements? If there's any specific time urgency, I need to know, because I may have competing needs. I may be attached for a trial. I may have a hearing. I may have other deadlines, and I need to know. And likely the attorney that you're talking to has other competing interests, and you need to let them know. What you should also let them know is this is going to be some work up front, and then it's going to be a lot of waiting time. So the sooner it gets in, the sooner the money comes in. And who doesn't like that? So I think letting them know what the time sensitivity is, and sometimes it's more sensitive than others, but you need to let them know.
Okay, awesome. Sure. All right. So last question, guys. Sharice said, what exactly are the attorneys doing? Are they just filing the paperwork you put together? What other work, if any, do they do? Well, I'll let you know, attorneys, they do provide good value, but you do want to make their job as easy as possible. When I work with an attorney, I like to have pretty much everything laid out for them. If we're dealing with the probate situation, I want to have, a family tree. I want to have affidavit of heirship. I want to have anything that's going to make them file it faster. Now, when you say, are they just filing the paperwork, things like that, that can hold value because it can expedite the payout. When the county receives a claim form with a cover letter from an attorney, they're going to respect that a little bit more than if it was just your company. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to use an attorney every time, but they can provide value. But also keep in mind that you'll pay them accordingly. Just because you're using an attorney, that doesn't mean you give them 50% of what you get just make sure that their time, their efforts, you're paying them accordingly. And Will, if you have anything else to say about what attorneys do, please let her know. That was Sharice.
I think you covered it. I mean, I think it's, especially like I said, on the contingent basis, we're working right alongside, hand in hand, trying to make sure the thing gets done. And I think.
Yeah, huge one from Claudia. They also help build credibility with your business. Absolutely. If anybody is scamming, they're not going to have an attorney who has a bar number, who's registered, who has a website, who's fully transparent online. So having an attorney on your team definitely helps your business look more credible. Okay. All right, guys. Well, that's going to be it for tonight. I got to catch this Lakers game tomorrow. Actually, what's tomorrow? Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I won't be able to do live. Well, I don't think I'll be able to do live. I'm going to be in Las Vegas, so the time is going to be like way different. But if not, I'll see you guys on Monday. But I will be coming out with videos. All right.